Hello, hello. Welcome. I can see Kevbot, of course. Patmos, Sweet Silent Shadow will be lurking. Thank you. And of course, a very, very happy birthday to Patmos. I hope you are having an amazing day, enjoying the sunshine. It's been absolutely gorgeous here today. I hope it has been for you too. I am doing very well, thank you, Patmos. How are you? Hope everyone is having a great day. Am I doing anything special for my birthday? I have plans to go charity shopping with my sister because that is one of my favourite activities to do. And then my mum is making my favourite meal in the evening, which is kedgeree. I love kedgeree. So yeah, just gonna have a nice chill day. Nothing happening today, so the perfect birthday. Oh well, that sounds nice. Haven't done anything with it for 15 years. Yeah, well, it's still nice to have a nice chill day though, and I don't know, have some good food and hang out with the people that you love. Cheese celebration bites. Yes, of course, you wouldn't have a birthday cake, would you, Patmos? You would have probably like a whole Gouda cheese or something with candles stuck in it. Today I am going to be making another version of this harness. This is a prototype that I made for a Schleich scale harness over the last few days, and mainly to see if my pattern fit together and everything, but being me, I couldn't resist blinging it up a bit with some silver studs. And so yeah, this time around I'm gonna make it with actual buckles. Now on this one, everything is made using slide through rings, so really the tension of all the pieces is the only thing holding this together. But on this saddle that I made a while ago, I made actual buckles for it, which probably isn't going to show up very well on my camera because my camera doesn't focus properly, but I make them myself using jump rings, and then I make my own buckle tongues for them. So I will be making some of those for this next tack set, which I will be crafting from this really nice red Italian lambskin leather. I would use black, but I don't feel like what I'm doing would show up very well on camera if I was using black leather, so I will be using the red. Hi Gamer Mama, welcome, welcome. How's your day going? This is the pattern I will be using. I drafted this myself. So it's all these straps and then the patterns for the main harness collars as well. So I will be beginning by making some buckles because buckles are the most important part of any tack build. Hey Lucy, welcome, welcome. How are you? I've just got to figure out which size jump ring I used on the last one. Yeah, that one looks about right. Okay. I'm very well, thank you. Right, how many buckles am I going to need on this thing? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 buckles. So it's going to be 6 jump rings, 6, and then 6 smaller ones to form the buckle tongues. Very good, just got some pain in my legs from working yesterday. Oh, that's not good. Must be a storm a brewing. I've been watching it. Ooh. Wouldn't mind having a storm here. It's been crazy hot. It's nicer when it gets to the evening, thankfully, because it's still spring. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, that's 6. Okay. But yes, I don't. I like it being warm. I do not like heat. Does my camera focus options? I don't think so. Because I've been trying to find them if it does, and for some remote reason I cannot change the point of focus. I think it's probably because it is supposed to be like a webcam for like Skyping and stuff. I don't know. Oh, let me just check a sec. Because of course I don't want to break my camera. Oh, there we go. I think I might possibly be onto something. Is that better? I feel like that looks a bit better. It is better. Yay! Hello, Phoebe. Welcome, welcome. Right, buckles. I use these two for buckles. These are needle nose pliers and a pair of grippy pliers. I got this new set at the works the other day and I'm absolutely obsessed with them. They are brilliant. And they are especially good for making buckles. I prefer making my own buckles because by and large I tend to find that store-bought buckles, for whatever reason, tend to be too chunky for working with leather. And I think that's because a lot of the buckles that you can buy online that are miniature buckles are meant for ribbon, because they are meant for dollhouse clothes, basically for doll clothes. So they're supposed to be like for doing ribbons on shoes and things like that. But of course, because I'm using leather is a good deal thicker than ribbon. So the buckle tongues take up so much space I can't put the leather through it. So making my own buckles is just a lot easier, because then at least I know they're actually going to work for the tack pieces that I'm crafting. But just go on with the stream. If you want, you can send me the make and model of the cam and I'll see if I can find out how to focus it and help you out. Thank you. Yes, I'd appreciate that. I can probably just send you a link to the one I purchased, because I got it on Amazon for not very much money, to be entirely honest with you. I could probably invest in a better one, but I figured this one would do for now. Anything that annoys me slightly about these jump rings, I found this absolutely brilliant set of different sized jump rings. And the problem is that for convenience's sake, they're all opened for you already. The only problem with that is that I use jump rings already closed most of the time, so I have to go through and close all of the jump rings before I can use them, which is very slightly annoying. But anyway. Already a lot sharper, looks good. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, it looks better on my screen too, to be fair, so that's all right. Right, so now I need to straighten out these jump rings, because they are going to become buckle tongues, if I can, because they are being obnoxiously slippery. There we go. Been there for the halters and blankets, yes. The struggle is real. Imagine having to make a full-size chainmail vest out of rings like that. No, thank you. No, thank you. Oh, I think I would go mad. Absolutely mad. I have a lot of respect for anyone who has the patience to make anything like that. I really think I would go insane trying. There we go. That is the basis for... Whoops, let's just drop it. That's a great idea, isn't it? That is the basis for a buckle. Now I'm just going to trim the tongue and it will be all ready to go. Would of course be considerably easier if it weren't for the fact that these particular clippers are the most obnoxiously weak out there. I might have to go and find my heavier duty clippers once I finish this to trim buckle rings with. But for now I shall just finish making the rest of the buckles to start with. How long in hours did it take to make the other harness? You mean this one? Approximately 7.5 hours, including all of my trials and errors. I've never made a harness before, so that one was very much a figuring out what worked, what didn't, revising my pattern and all of that stuff. Once I know what I'm doing with the pattern, things don't tend to take as long. And of course that was over the span of 3 days. So I was working about 2 hours a day on it. It's tempting to work more, but my neck and shoulders really go at me for it if I do, so I have to pace myself with micro work like this, because otherwise I end up leaning over a bench for way, way longer than is good for me. Come back and do those buckles when I need the buckles, I think. For now, I will just use those two. Right. So, first piece I'm going to make is the chest harness piece here. I will be taking this harness apart gradually so that I can use it as a reference for making the second one. So here you can see some of the different components that have gone into that. I made the breast harness detachable from the girth ring by using 2 handmade S-hooks. As I said before, I make most of my own hardware from wire and jump rings. It's cheaper that way and just easier in the long run. But I'm not going to take the bridle off for now because it took me long enough to get it on in the first place. So yes, that is the 5 components that make up this tack set. If you charge 35 an hour, it's 262.50 for one harness. Yeah, I could probably charge that for maybe for a giant full-sized one, for like the biggest Shire horse that ever existed, perhaps. But yes, I'm going to start with that piece there, which is the same piece that I initially started with when I made the original, which is, I believe, yes, this pattern piece here. It's really cool. It took me like a solid 20 minutes yesterday to take my tack set off one horse and put it on the first. Oh, I know, because I initially built this saddle on Dakota Blue, which is my collect a quarter horse stallion, and for photos I wanted to put him on Foxtrot, which is one of my custom Hanoverian stallions. Undoing all those buckles and then trying to do them all up again was a very lengthy procedure indeed, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 buckles on this thing all in all. Should not be that many on something that small. Anyway. Let's get that lined up with pattern. Working. Let's try that. Okay, doesn't want to, never mind. Should just hold that bit there. Straighten up the edges, and that is the main component. Put this back in there. Then needs another shallower piece, which I'm just going to cut by eyeballing it. I cut most of my pieces just by eye, generally speaking, since I tend to find that using patterns can get a little difficult when pattern pieces are very small. How much worth of materials do you think goes into a harness? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, because I buy most of my products in bulk. I mean, this piece of leather here would probably make about 4 or 5 harness sets at this scale anyway. This individual piece of leather was £6, I think, for the whole piece. And then obviously jump rings, I buy those wholesale, and then the little studs that I use for decoration are nail art studs, which I buy again in bulk. And obviously the super glue that I use to put it all together with goes a long way. So overall, I would say the worth of the materials I'm using pretty much could span across 5 individual tack sets out of, the main components, obviously, which are leather. But I also use reclaimed materials a lot. So I use leather from like secondhand handbags and things that I find in charity shops. as well. So all of that taken into account, yeah. Bridle at the cheek straps are not buckled but slip through a ring. They don't stay and keep out to faff with it to get some pictures. Oh yeah, tell me about it, because that's how my prototype set here is staying together, and that's why I knew I needed to put actual buckles on it all, because otherwise I have to keep going around tweaking it all the time just to make it stay. But yeah, most of the worth that goes into my tack sets is pretty much the labor that goes into making them. So those two bits will go together like that, which means I just need to test fit that. Yes, it's fine, which means I can just round off the corners on that. I did get myself some nice new sewing scissors the other day when I was out, but I've decided not to use them for model tack making because they are terrifyingly sharp, and I don't particularly want them that close to my fingers when working in small scale. So I'm using a pair of my older, slightly blunter scissors. Seems reasonable in terms of materials. Yeah, and it's also a lot of fun, like seeing where I can salvage materials from as well. What would you think about charging for something like that if you were to sell? I actually currently have a commission for a harness like the one I've just made, which I'm charging £50 for. Obviously, depending on the complexity of the sets, because different harnesses can come with a lot more detail or a lot less detail, or a lot more components. So I have to factor all of that into how much I charge for an individual piece. But this one is sort of a middle ground. It's slightly more complex than building this, but I would charge a similar sort of price for a saddle of this complexity as well. Right, so now I need to measure where the buckles are going to go. So end to end is going to be about there. Right. Today, my knife. Today. It's always a good idea to make the ends of the leather where you're going to fold it over and glue it a little thinner, because there's not as much bulk when it is glued down then, and also it helps to rough up the back of the leather a little, which makes it adhere to itself slightly better. Sounds about right to what others charge per set, anywhere between 30 and 70 depending. Yeah, exactly. 15 for materials, 35 for labour, spread over 7 hours of work. That is not a lot, especially since you're an expert crafts lady and put so much time and dedication into it. Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, my model horses and tack making is a hobby of mine rather than something I'm actively trying to run as a business, and there is a very definite divide between what my work might be worth in entirety versus what people are necessarily willing to pay for a finished piece. And if I charge too high and then can't make any sales because of that, then I'm doing myself out of money in general anyway. So it's about finding a middle ground in a market, really. This is always the fiddliest bit, trying to actually put buckles on. Go on, get through there. For goodness sake. Human-sized hands versus Schleich-sized tack pieces is very interesting. Let's see if I can make that slightly narrower at the tip there. It's a very interesting combination. So I can grab you. There we go. Oh, finally. There we go. My goodness, that took longer than needed. Asked the girl that did my other set to make a brown tack version for me. The other did the champagne Frisian mare and black tack set. So excited for that. Oh, the 15-year-old. Oh, amazing. Yeah, she is insanely good, honestly. Like proper talent right there. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when you showed me that tack set. I was like, there is no way in hell that a 15-year-old made that. But no, absolutely incredible talent. Let's flatten this one into a D-ring instead of an O-ring for better application in the center. This will be the ring that goes in the center of the chest piece, which will then attach, that's this bit here, which will then attach to the chest harness in the future. Tiny little buckles. Yeah, gonna be good. Then I'll have at least one each black and brown tack for both English and Western. Yeah, definitely. You can never have too many tack sets. You need all the tack sets. You need like a whole tack room full. It's the only way to go. Especially when you have as many models as you do, mate. I mean, my goodness. The size of your collection, if you had a tack set for each of them, you'd need a life-size tack room to keep them all in, that's for sure. Right. I hope the day comes you can charge more for your work. It's definitely worth it. Oh, thank you. I plan to start making some Briar tack sets, as well as the Schleich, and they will be more pricey because Briar is Briar is like a lot more collected by adults. There's a lot of adult Schleich and collector collectors, don't get me wrong, but there are also a lot of like kids and teenagers in the Schleich hobby as well, whereas Briar's for serious collectors who actually want like handmade tack and stuff is a more adult collecting community. I'm really excited to start work on making Briar tack as well, because it's that little bit bigger. You end up being able to pack so much more detail into it, and I mean, I absolutely love detail. So if I could get into my jump rings, that would be amazing. So yeah, being able to do something where I can make it as realistic as possible is just the absolute dream. Tempt me now, I want to make a diorama tack room. You should though, like what's stopping you? Gosh, the amount of dioramas that I would make if I had the space, like I don't, but I wish I did. Yeah, I would just be making so many miniature scenes. I have dreams someday of building my very own miniature trail riding barn when I have the space, or maybe when I have my own place in the future. That's something I could look at doing, because I absolutely love my miniatures. Something I am going to try making, however, where's my other, oh, there it is. Something I am going to try making is a dray. Because obviously the prototype harness I'm going to be keeping. I can't sell that because it doesn't stay together very well. But it looks great when it's on, so I'm going to make a dray to go with it. It wouldn't be very hard. The wheels would be a challenge. The rest of it wouldn't be too hard to make, I don't think. Time more than anything. Darn work and having the child awake till 8 p.m. You said that'd be an amazing build. Yeah, I get it. Time is hard to get hold of. I mean, I don't have kids, and even I struggle to find time to get everything that I want to get done. Most of my work does tend to be in the evenings. I mean, I'm not a morning person in general, but I think it's one of those cases where I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things to do, but not enough days of the week to do them all in. Close that a bit too far. Let's open that back up again, because I'm going to need to put a second jump ring through that. There we go. And then that end into a ring. There we go. So neat S hook, and then I need to twist that, because I think, yes, they are both twisted. Okay. So it's at a cross trees to that one. Plenty of people have done craft wheel tutorials. I've wanted to make a cart for ages. I know, me too. I mean, I have a special place in my heart for dray carts, because I used to work with a guy who lived up the road. He had cart horses. He had an Irish trotter who was absolutely gorgeous called Charm, and she was half Irish cob and half Shire. She was gorgeous. Her name was Willow, and I used to help look after the horses and muck out the field and do all of that stuff. And he used them as cart horses, and he used to take me out for rides up the road in the dray, and I absolutely loved that. He even let me drive it once, which was like insanely special. I've wanted to drive a cart again ever since. Just never had the opportunity, unfortunately, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll own one of my own one day. That might become a reality in the distant future, you never know. Right, let's get this other overly obstinate buckle on. Check I'm doing that the right way. Yes. Okay, otherwise there would be problems. Through there, and then, no, I said you go through there. Then put that through the ring. Why do I do this to myself? Oh, there we go. That. How big is my workbench? Currently, I am on a small table, which is like 2.5 feet square. It's an old card table in my bedroom in the house. Which is a temporary workbench. My workbench in the shed is about 12 feet long on one side and 6 feet on the other, I believe. One of them has an L bend at the end as well, because it has. I was actually quite lucky because at the time that we put the shed up, we were looking at what I could kit it out with for studio benches, and our next door neighbour happened to be getting rid of their old kitchen counters and cabinets, and they said we could have them for the shed, and of course I was like, yes please, absolutely. So yeah, I essentially have kitchen cabinets for worktops in my shed, which is very handy because that much space means that none of my projects end up overlapping each other. Can you also get figurines that go with the horses in the same scale? Yes. Schleich and Carriage both make a range of human figures to go with their equine figures. I'm not the biggest fan of them in general, probably because I like my figures to be realistic. And I don't tend to find that model toy companies make overly realistic human figures. The horse figures are usually great, the human ones not so much, which means I have intentions to make my own figures at some point down the line. I have some wire armature prototypes at the moment in my studio for some stablemate riders. which is on the windowsill actually. Let me grab that. This is a stablemate. This is 1 in 32 scale, I believe. This is the smallest scale that Breyer makes. So I'm making some riders for that because I don't know if Breyer even does stablemate riders. I think they do. I've never owned one. But again, I don't like the lack of detail that tends to go into company-made model horse human figurines. So yeah, if I did make a cart, I would probably make my own driver for it. Bossfight Studio, if you want articulated ones. Oh, I wish I could have some articulated ones. Yeah, that's definitely something I'd look into in the future. But yes, making my own seems to be the more customizable option. Right, now I need to make is it 2 or is it 3? No, it's only 2 on this file, that's fine. Where'd that go? Oh, there it is. Bossfight Studio do blank human figures though, like the ones Daisy Stores used. I have one to customize. That is so cool. Is that in Schleich scale? Sorry. I've been trying to find some figurines for a. This is not what I usually talk about, but for a model ship that I'm restoring, which doesn't really have a set scale, but she's a handmade one that I found in a second-hand shop. Say second-hand shop, it was a junk shop actually, but I took her home and I'm trying to turn her into a pirate ship. And I was looking for some figures to use for her crew, but unfortunately she doesn't seem to really fit into any particular category of figures that would work, so I think again I'm just going to have to make my own for her as well. Slightly taller, more in-length collector. Oh, okay. I mean, that would work for me anyway, because I do primarily collect Breyer and Collecte. I don't, apart from the models that I use to display my tact on, I don't really collect any Schleich figures. It's not that I don't like Schleich figures, but I find that the realism in Breyer and Collecte suit me better. I will always go for realism where I can find it. Right, that is the 2 buckles neatly attached now. So they're at either end of the chest piece. Do you buy your materials in bulk, cut down the price, or as you need them? I mean, buying things in bulk, like especially like jump rings or nail art studs and things, means that they are cheaper and last me for a lot more projects. When it comes to leather, I mean, this piece, I've cut some things out of it, but you can sort of see how big it was originally. It's an A5, approximately A5 sheet. I buy these from a UK-owned small business on Etsy. But one sheet of leather will do me a lot of miniature projects. But again, when it comes to buying leather in particular, going to second-hand shops and just searching for used leather handbags or leather jackets is a really good way I source material for tack making. Because then you can get like a whole leather handbag for £2, and that'll do me like 15 tack sets. So good value for money, basically. But yes, it is definitely cheaper buying a lot of things in advance that I know I use a lot of versus just buying things for each tack set as and when I need to make it. If I did that, I would be spending a lot more money than I do on my miniatures. The only time that I will buy something specifically for a tack set is if someone has commissioned me and wants something in a particular colour or wants a particular design or decal on it. But in that case, I'm not the one paying for it because the cost of that is added to my customer's order. So that's an expense that they absorb for me, basically. Hello, Alice F. Welcome, welcome. How is your day going? Good to hear. Let's get this belt loop glued on. This is something else that's come in very handy for tack making. These are like really tiny little wooden pegs that I found. Oh, I absolutely love them. I like using wooden and plastic clips and pegs for my work because they don't leave marks in the leather, which metal ones do. So it's far better, in my opinion. Thank you, Patmos. I appreciate that. Actually, it's not going to work, so let me grab another one. Whoops. And try that again. See, this is what annoys me about the fact all of these come ready opened. They end up getting chained onto each other in the thing, and then I struggle to pick out a single one when I'm in the middle of a project. Cheers, Kaz. I appreciate that. Oh, the evil laughter. That's better. That's more like what I wanted. Let's loop that one too. I need to go on that let's open that up for a moment. It's going on like that, then that will want to be like that. There we go. Nice. Right, that's breast collar attachment lead done, which is this piece here. So I am going to take a moment to pop on a couple of nail studs, which are infuriating because they never land the right way up. There we go. I love these little nail studs because they give the illusion of things being riveted together, which adds a very nice pop of realism to my projects. This is the only thing I dislike about making model tack, is getting my hands absolutely covered in super glue and then having to go and douse my hands in acetone later to get it all off again. It'd be easier if I could work with gloves on, but there is no way that I could work to this level of detail with gloves on my hands, so there we go. I absolutely love the way that those little studs just make it pop immediately. That's one piece finished. Let us get the other side of this piece on. So it's going to go across like that. Okay. No, now I'm gluing my fingers to it. What did I tell you? Love miniatures, hate super glue. I have tried using other types of glue in the past, but unfortunately they don't set quickly enough, so I end up having to use super glue for most of it, because otherwise I would be taking several hours in between each stage, and quite frankly I do not have the patience for that. I would quite probably go insane. And as usual, my workspace is slowly devolving into an absolute mess. It's a very typical example of what my workspace actually tends to look like when I'm in it. Let's get the neck piece cut out, I think. I think I'm going to do that on this side. Does the leather come in any colour you want, or are there only specific colours? I mean, I have to sort of pick and choose what's offered on the store I buy it from. But she has quite a wide range of colours. In my last order, I got this red, but I also got a lovely mustard yellow as well as what was the other one I got? I got 3. Oh yeah, I got like a dust pink as well. Obviously, for tack making, black and brown are always solid favourites of mine. They look classy and realistic. But I do also like the look of some vibrant colours, like red obviously looks really nice. And I also get little free test swatches of other colours as well when I purchase from her shop. She sends little example pieces of other leathers that she stocks, so that way I can sort of get an idea of maybe something I might want to get next time. Do I mix colours? Yes, I do. I haven't tried that in a harness yet. I mean, this is only the second harness that I've ever made. But I did do that in this saddle, so I tend to do the seat in a contrasting colour, and I did the rear girth to match, as well as the band on the front girth, and then I did the chest harness to match in the dark brown. So I tend to choose a main colour and then an accent detail colour. The commission that I'm doing at the moment is for brown with black accents, which is going to be quite striking. I might mix a little bit of black into this particular red one, but I'm not sure yet, because the black leather is a very different kind of leather to the red one that I'm using at the moment. This is Italian lambskin. It's quite floppy and a little bit stretchy. Whereas the leather that I used for this is down here, I think, yes, this is from a handbag that I took apart, I believe, which is much thicker, it's less flexible, and it's chromed, so it's more like a polished, shiny effect. Got to go to bed now. Bye. Okay, I hope you sleep well, Alice. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a great night. Hopefully we'll see you again another time. With this particular leather, I might end up putting a backing on some of it because it is that bit more stretchy, which means ultimately when I go to do up the buckles, materials, it could overstretch the pieces, and of course I don't want that, so I probably will ultimately add something on the back of it that's not stretchy to prevent that from happening. Do I only use leather, or are there other materials I use or could be using? I do prefer leather for tack making. I have used fake leather, like faux leather in the past, which is alright, I just don't find it as durable. Fake leather has a way of breaking or being unnaturally stretchy when you try to use it, which does not go well with tack making because you really need everything to sort of stay where you put it when you make tack. Where did that go? Never mind, I seem to have lost that now. Oh, there it is. When it comes to making saddlebags, I have used faux leather and also canvas, because saddlebags in miniature aren't really needing to take any major weight or any strain, which means I can get away with using materials that aren't as strong as leather. But I also find that my leather pieces tend to be more popular than pieces that are made out of faux leather or a different substance altogether. I think because the leather definitely is more realistic than other things that I use, and in model tack, realism is very much sought after by adult collectors anyway. There are a lot of people on Etsy that are selling like tack made out of pink felt, which, you know, good for them. I mean, kids buy it for their Schleich barns, and that's brilliant. But a lot of adult collectors like me prefer things to be made out of something that's as close to the real life-size counterpart as possible. Didn't realise how many jump rings go into making this. I suppose because I made the last one over the span of a few days, it all got sort of spanned out. But doing it all in one go, I'm like, my goodness, there's so many jump rings involved. I do use tapestry thread a lot in my builds for making reins and also for doing stitch detailing. As you can see on the sides of the saddle here, I use tapestry thread to do the stitch design. I also use it to hold some components together under the glue. But I also use it to create reins. Might not focus very well, but this I do hand braided reins to go with my builds. This is a 4-strand braid. And reins are something I really like doing because I get to play around with colours, and I love playing around with colours. Black and green is one of my favourite colour combinations in tack. I also make my reins using little tiny S-hooks because then they're removable and people can switch them out between their bridles. This is one of 2 that I'm making. I'm doing them separately because for in carriage tack, the reins are often separated with a buckle at this point, so they can be undone. Whether or not I'll end up actually putting a buckle on this, I don't know, because I think it would be difficult to do without undoing the knot and unraveling the whole rein, but it still gives the illusion. And also 4-strand braids are quite handy because they're slightly posable, which means if I put it on a model, I can pull it down and it actually looks like it has some weight to it, as opposed to doing a 3-strand braid, which just goes off everywhere it wants to when you try and use it as model reins. So yeah, that's something else I incorporate into my tack. Right, let's glue down the other sides of that, and then I'll be able to actually glue that onto the build. Okay. Right, those three need, that will do for one of the little ones, I think. And then let me grab a slightly thicker one for the middle one. It's possibly slightly too thick, so let's trim that down. There we go. And then another very thin one for the other side. Right, let's see. Where? Other way. Okay, so 2 cuts centrally. No worries, Patmos. Welcome back, Patmos. Right, let's put some glue under there, I think, so that it doesn't escape. Sure that that's the center point of the ring, and then pull it through. There you go. Excellent. Do local charity shops let you know when they have leather handbags, or is it just when you visit them? It's just when I visit them, which I don't do like massively often. mainly because the ones in the town where I live are absolutely useless, to be honest. I think the problem is that everyone sells everything that's worth selling on Vinted these days rather than in charity shops like they used to, which is annoying, but yeah, what can you do? But obviously, because of how far like one handbag or one jacket actually goes, I don't really have any need to buy them all that frequently. Um, and obviously, it does also very much depend on what a bag or jacket is made of, because some types of leather can be really thin, which you would think would be good for tack making, but depending on whether it's like bovine leather or pig leather can make a huge difference in whether or not it's actually usable. Pig leather is very thin, but it breaks very easily, which makes it non-conducive to tack making, because the smaller a piece of something you cut, the more fragile it becomes. And for tack making, you really don't want things to get too breakable, because it might be fine for me, but if somebody else that I've sold it to is having to take it apart and put it back on another model and stuff, ideally I don't want it to be too breakable. Right, there we go. That's the start of these components all being glued together now. And that is what these two little things are for. They go on either side of these. Where's the piece of marker? There it is. Yes, that's what is holding the neck harness on. So these little pieces here and here are what these are. Which on this one I'm going to glue on the inside of the belt loop rather than on the outside of it this time. And I'm sticking myself to it again. Yay! There we go. I did some plastics model building when I was young, and I found the glue kind of degrades pretty quickly. Are you worried about that with your glue? Not particularly. I've still got some tack pieces that I put together with super glue back when I was about 15 years old, and they are still holding up just fine. I've not noticed them coming apart. I mean, I use Gorilla super glue. The kind of glue that it's glue that comes with model kits is typically contact cement, which, depending on what you're gluing with it, is either really good or really bad. I found even, like, I've done some Airfix kit building, and I found even with that super glue actually holds it together better than the contact cement it comes with, typically speaking. But I guess it also depends on the type of contact cement and whether it's like a better quality, more expensive one, or if it's a less good quality one. But I've not personally encountered any issues with super glue so far. I used to, when I first started out tack building, I used hot glue. That was a mistake. I will not be doing that again. For many, many reasons. Hot glue. It's not only bulky, but I think in my over-enthusiastic but uninformed teenage brain, I decided that hot glue was a good choice without stopping to think about the fact that if hot glue gets hot again, it melts again. And my saddles started coming apart if I left them outside in the garden in the summer, which was not ideal, so I stopped using that pretty quickly. Which size was I using? I think that one. Annoying as these jump rings are, I would definitely get them again, only because they are stainless steel, surgical steel. And something I've run into with other brands of jump ring that I've bought before is that they tend to tarnish and turn brown over time. And of course, I don't want that to happen on my tack because it means the tack ends up looking degraded over time. So from that perspective, these jump rings are definitely worth it. I just wish that they weren't already opened like that. It is a bit annoying. Let's imagine a young person is watching and gets all excited from this and wants to start making amazing creations too. What would be your 3 tips for them to get started? My 3 tips. First of all, practice. Practice, 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 because making mistakes is the best way to learn. So get yourself some cheap materials like, just leather from like an old pair of boots or an old handbag or something, and some jump rings, and just get to grips with how to manipulate it and how it works and how it feels to work with it. The best creations come with trial and error. There is no substitute for experience when it comes to teaching. And my second tip would be to just let your creativity tell you what to do, because if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it, in my opinion. Having fun and just not caring about what the outcome looks like and enjoying what you are creating with your own 2 hands is the most important part of creativity in any capacity. And then as far as materials and things go, and learning how to actually make things, first of all, material-wise, a good place to start for model tack is Italian lambskin leather, which you can find on Etsy. Making sure that you have a good set of tools like these ones. As long as you have these in your arsenal, you are set to go. And of course, references. I could not stress enough the importance of references. Find a piece you want to make online and look for every angle of that piece you can find in photos, either in listing photos of that product or just find a bunch of different ones, like a bunch of different carriage sets, and just study how it goes together in the pictures. Another really good piece of advice that I can think of right now is to watch YouTube videos of people putting carriage sets or putting saddles or bridles on their real life horses, because that is a very good way to see how they actually all go together and what the components are. And then you're better able to make your patterns for your model pieces based on the real life counterparts and how they actually go together in real life. In order to make this particular carriage set, I looked up a lot of references online and I built it based on, I think I combined three different carriage sets. I took the aspects that I liked from all 3 of them and combined them. So yeah, references are your best friend. So yeah, just as long as you have your basic arsenal of tools and a lot of enthusiasm and some really good references, the sky is your limit to what you can put together. Do I ever make 2 or 3 sets of tack to use on different horses, or just as and when you do them? I mean, I personally make tack primarily to sell, but also occasionally for my own horses. But most of my horses in my collection just tend to get 1 tack set each. And then because I make my tack sets to be pretty much universally usable on a particular scale, they just borrow each other's for photographs and stuff. Reins are something that I will make multiple pairs of, because a different coloured set of reins can just add a little extra pop of detail to a saddle that's been photographed before. But when I'm making them to sell, I tend to make every tack set different. I don't like making the same one again and again. I would get bored, and I'm not a factory, you know, I like everything to be unique and for my customers to get unique pieces. Are you planning on doing tutorial and or selling tip videos? I think that can be gold for a lot of people to benefit from all your similar experience. I am, yes. I've been getting into honing my own techniques a lot more lately. I've been making more tack and just enjoying myself more with getting to grips with keeping my hands in front of a camera and stuff, because even though I'd love to just jump in and start making tutorial videos, I definitely have a habit of forgetting that I need to stay in frame of a camera. So things like that, and also figuring out how to explain what I'm doing in a way that's easy to understand. I can struggle a bit with that too. In person, not so much, but doing a voiceover or something, it's not as easy for me yet. But I do plan to make some tutorial videos very soon. I have some tips and trick ones planned out for like making your own buckles out of jump rings and things, because I see a lot of buckle tutorials out there for how to make it out of wire. The way that you make a buckle out of wire, it does work. I used to do it on my tack. A lot of people use paper clips because they're already somewhat bent. But the way that you make a buckle out of a paper clip is basically turning that center point here, so you can't see the paper clip. So this bit you would put across like that to create the buckle, the bar across the center of the buckle, and then you pull up the other side of the paper clip to make it into basically an oval shape with a cross through the middle. Now there's nothing wrong with that. It works very well as a slider buckle, but apart from often being very chunky, they do not look tidy unless you're like really, really professional at making them, which I am not, and I don't have the patience to learn. But also because with slider buckles, you have to first of all have enough room to put leather around the bar and then another piece of leather through it over the top of that, which ends up looking really chunky. I made one using that style to do this up with, and it looks okay there, but you can see from the side it's very chunky and it pulls the side of the bridle out from the head rather than lying flat against it. And that's what happens when there's not enough room for both pieces of leather to go through the buckle at the same time. But if I made it any bigger, it would be out of proportion with the model, and that's why I don't like using wire wrap buckles. I developed my own technique of making the ones using jump rings, which in my opinion, they look fine once they're done up, but they don't use a bar. I put the buckle tongue around one side of the jump ring. So the buckle tongue moves, and whatever goes through it lies flat. And that's because there's more room for the leather that's coming through the other way. So that when it's done up, let me find the right hole. When it's done up and you've pulled it through, it makes a relatively flat connection join. So things like that are things I plan to make tutorial videos for, because even a simple thing like that can take someone's tack to the next level. Annoying. Just go through. I used to think that making tack would be easier when I stopped biting my nails because I would have nails to manipulate the tack with. I was wrong. It is in fact no easier. Go on, go through there. It's not rocket science. Yeah, there we go. Goodness, that was harder than necessary. And of course, a huge thank you to everybody currently watching. I really appreciate you all being here. I realise some of this can be a little tedious to watch, but I really appreciate you all spending some of your time with me. Oh, thank you, Gamer Mama. What I'm going to do here is cut the side traces, and in order to do that, first of all, I need to straighten out this line in the leather. Well, thank you, Patmos. That means a lot. It's been a huge learning curve. It's definitely not something that I would ever have thought I would see myself doing if you'd asked me last year, but you guys have been extremely encouraging, and I'm quite enjoying it, which is also surprising because with the way that my anxiety tends to do things, I often don't enjoy doing things that are even remotely considered social. But yes, I'm definitely having a lot of fun on this little YouTube journey. Right, so now I need to make some buckle holes, which, thank you, Kevbot. I might, there it is. I might just test to see how big a hole that's going to make. I'll do for this set. I might just mute the stream while I do this because it is going to be some very loud banging, which is going to sound absolutely atrocious through the microphone. So I shall be back with you in a moment. There we go. That's one set of buckle holes punched. Subtitles. I was going to say that to great minds. Been distracted chopping up bodies though. Now, Lucy, you can't be saying things like that on the internet. What will people think? I mean, we all have hobbies, but there we go. And now you can see the difference between one that has an actual buckle on it versus one that does not. It has a much cleaner finish to it, and it looks a lot more realistic with the buckle tongue. Plus, now when I put it on the model, it's not going to come out. And that is the important part. Don't understand the explanation about horses and the halters, but I love to see someone doing something so creative. Oh, well, that's lovely. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely complicated, even for me, and I'm the one doing it. Even when I'm not, live streaming or actively talking to people, I still talk myself through the process when I'm making things, because otherwise I forget what I'm doing and lose track, and then I get very confused by everything that I'm looking at. So, yeah. Even for people that know what they're talking about, it's still confusing sometimes. Hello, body, don't tell Lily. No, she would steal that from you. When I see all of this, I would love to go back in time and watch medieval craftspeople do their thing. Must be so impressive to watch. Absolutely. Oh, I agree. That is very true. I mean, I did watch. I watched some people doing medieval, like workmanship in a bunch of different professions at a working medieval village somewhere in England. I was very small. I was like maybe 8 years old when my parents took me. But they had like a working old-fashioned blacksmith there, and weaving, and there was a woman there who was making dipped wax candles. And me and my sister were allowed to have a go doing it, and it was so much fun. But I would absolutely love to go back there again as an adult and really sort of take it in, because as a kid you don't always appreciate that kind of thing for what it really is. Whereas as an adult you sort of comprehend a bit more, like the amount of craftsmanship that goes into some of these things. Okay, Gamer Mama, no problem. Melon Leon? Is that I probably butchered that. When you're up here, the windmill place has a medieval village. We should do that too. Hell yeah! Oh, that would be amazing. Oh, there's so many things to do. Oh, I can't wait to go back to Anglesey. Right, I'm gonna just mute you guys again for another round of hammering the table, and I shall be back directly. Right, so that's those done. That on there. Through there. Maybe you can go out and do your own demonstrations at medieval craft fairs, etc. Yeah, that would be so cool. I actually did some of that at the Heritage Fair here in the town I live in. I was demonstrating how I make my handmade leather bucket bags, which was really cool. A lot of people were actually quite interested. I did that 2 years running, last year and the year before. I haven't yet decided whether I'll be attending this year, though. Right, I think we are getting somewhere with that. So I am pleased with that. And that then is what this attaches to, like so. I know, I do. I have a lot of hobbies. I mean, to be fair, I would get very bored without them. But yeah, this is why sometimes I get stuck in a freeze of not knowing what to do, because I have so many projects that I want to do all at the same time that I end up not doing any of them because I can't choose what I'm in the mood for. But that's why I have half of my shed set up for doing horse stuff and half of it set up for doing leather work, like human-sized leather work, I mean. Because then when I suddenly get bored of doing horses, I can just turn around and do some leather work instead. So, or pyrography, I do that down there too. But it just means that I'm never bored. I get bored very easily, so I suppose in a way that's a blessing. Stream probably won't be too much longer because I'm going to go and get my dinner very soon. I'll probably be calling it around probably in another 10, 12 minutes or so, because I'm hungry. But I am just going to make the beginning of the belly girth piece before I go. Which is probably the most important part of any tack build, because your tack is not staying on without it. Which is decidedly not advisable. Welcome back, Gamer Mama. Thank you for being here, Patmos. It's been lovely having you here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And of course, thank you for all of your kind words and encouragement. It always means a lot. Cyrus, hey, welcome, welcome. How are you? Sakes, I hate blue so much. I love making things, don't get me wrong, but the amount of times that I stick myself to my projects is absurd, frankly speaking. Blood pressure. Right, maybe if I shave down the thickness of that bit, it'll actually go through where it's supposed to a little better this time. Yes. Haha. Now, in hindsight, I should have done that on both sides, but never mind. That is very true, Gamer Mama. Practice can also make you incredibly frustrated, but I suppose it's all part of the experience. Why did I choose such a fiddly hobby? Aha! We have won, folks. It has gone where it's supposed to. Finally. Oh look, I've stuck myself to my project again. Wonderful day. Right, I think I am going to call this one here. And I am going to go and get on with getting some dinner, I think, because I am getting hungry and tack making makes me hungry. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it as always. Every single one of you is absolutely amazing. And I really appreciate all the support and all the encouragement. And I will see you all next time, and hopefully I will have another video out soon too. I am working on that. So yeah, for now I will bid you all a good night and goodbye.